What's up, everybody? You are watching the J-Red Show on YouTube. The Buffalo Bills beat the Cincinnati Bengals 39-34 to improve to 9-4 on the year. It was a rough first half where the Bills were trailing 21-11. The defense just could not stop Burrow and the Bengals offense. Cincinnati just moved up and down the field way too easily on the Bills. But I guess a shootout is what was expected, because Buffalo had a pretty good first half, except would have been closer if Ty Johnson didn't slip on snow. But this game did show the problem of the Buffalo defense. Josh Allen then passed the ball to Dalton Kincaid in the second half to make it 22-18. The Buffalo had a chance to take the lead, but then James Cook fumbles the ball in the end zone. It's picked up by Cincinnati, and the Bengals, led by Joe Burrow, go all the way for a touchdown to make it 28-18. And right then and there, I thought it was over. I thought Buffalo was going to fall to 8-5 and struggle to make the playoffs. But then we got a 40-yard touchdown run by Josh Allen. We got a Benford pick six. We had an interception by A.J. Epinesa. Buffalo's defense made these huge plays at the right time to give the Buffalo a win. Cincinnati didn't score late to make it 38-35, but Buffalo did march down the field, ran out the clock, and won the game. So, the pessimists, which I'm not going to criticize you for being a pessimist, I can understand why. There is a lot of problems with this Bills team, particularly with the wide receivers and the defense. But there seems to be more optimism because every team has flaws. I look around the AFC, I look around the NFL, there is no perfect roster. The Broncos, they're 10-2. They have a good defense. But I am not a believer in Bo Nix. The Patriots, they have some injuries in their offensive line, and they only feasted off an easy schedule. The Colts, they lost Daniel Jones. The Jaguars, they have a lot of flaws. So this conference is wide open. It's insane because this is arguably the worst team the Bills have had in the 2020s, the worst team they surrounded Josh Allen with, but at the same time, their best chance to win the Super Bowl. I mean, Brandon Beane does deserve criticism for the wide receivers and for the defense. But I think he deserves a lot of praise. One, for the offensive line, for the running back, for James, for just the overall team depth. These are just some things that are glossed over. Grant, I think there is some kind of power struggle between Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott. And it wouldn't surprise me if they move on from Brandon Beane at the end of the year. But as of now, there seems to be renewed optimism. Even though they beat a 4-8 Bengals team, there seems to be renewed optimism in the Buffalo fan base. And if they beat New England, even if they don't win the division, that optimism will go through the roof. Got my cat here now, got Mewtwo. So, a gigantic game versus the Patriots. If New England wins, they'll clinch the division. If Buffalo wins, they can keep their division title hopes alive until the end of the season. The last game of the season against the Jets. I mean, if the Bills win out to that last game against the Jets, then there's nothing New England can do to clinch the division beforehand. And that would set up an interesting game. Imagine the last regular season game at Highmark Stadium, the old Highmark Stadium, being for the division title. So yes, if you're pessimist about the Bills, I understand. I have my criticisms and my doubts about Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott. But this last couple of weeks have really rejuvenated the optimism. And it has a lot of Bills fans thinking they could go for a run. Now, the Sabres, on the other hand, there's no optimism. And we're pretty much back to normal for Buffalo sports in the 2020s. As Kevin Adams has no clue what he's doing. Oslin and Rosen sent down. Carrying 3 goalies. Greenway on the top line. He's like both desperate to save his job, at the same time afraid to make a move. Afraid to set the Sabres back, but how much further back can you go? They're near the bottom of the conference. Season's falling apart again. At the time of recording, they're losing 2-0 to the Calgary Flames. I'm checking out the season again. I was invested a little bit. I did see some improvement. I did like the moves that were made. Kesserling, Doan. They looked tougher defensively. But they just did not do it enough. And we are just waiting to see this general manager get fired. And hopefully Pegula gets his head out of his butt and hires someone that knows what they're doing that can repair this broken hockey team. Honestly, I don't think it's going to happen this year because Pegula has a lot of money tied up in stadium overruns. Maybe next year when the stadium's complete, he'll be fired. He'll put more money in the team. I don't know. But I'll go back to the Bills before I leave. The division, the conference is wide open. The Chiefs and the Ravens are both 6-7. You know, one thing, I think people got blinded by Tom Brady. There seems to be a notion that as long as you have a world-class quarterback like Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar Jackson, you'll never have a bad season. You'll win like 6 or 7, you'll win 10 games a year. But great quarterbacks have bad seasons. Peyton Manning went 6-10 in 2001. Dan Marino had plenty of 8-8 seasons and won 6-10. So, now I'm not saying the Chiefs dynasty is dead. I'm sure Mahomes will be fine. But they need to retool and retool bad. This is likely the end for Andy Reid. This is likely the end for Travis Kelce. Baltimore, they got a huge question mark because we have seen huge regression in Lamar Jackson. And Derrick Henry, how much longer does he have left in the tank? I think of these 3 teams, they're in the most trouble. Burrow's struggling. I mean, of course, when you have a bad owner who doesn't spend money, that's what's going to happen. Again, the league is wide open. The Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champion, just lost another game to the Chargers. They're a complete mess right now. Probably the most complete team is the Rams, but even they lost to the Panthers a few weeks ago. So the NFL season is drunk right now. So what are your thoughts on sports? Hit me on Twitter at JRedShow. And when I come back, I will talk about movies. I just saw Five Nights at Freddy's earlier today, and I'll talk about other movies and TV shows. So, what are your thoughts here on Twitter at JRedShow? Hit me on Threads at Blue Sky, and I will see you later.